we are today, and we're very excited about our papier-mache project. So I wanted to do a YouTube video so you guys could see some things that we've had done in the past, and also be ready to do this at home and kind of give you the instructions, so when you're there and you can't figure out what to do, you're going to be able to hear me tell you what to do again. All right, and I also have a handoff paper to give you guys at the end of class too. So, for the past probably 10 years since I've been teaching art here at Prestonsburg Elementary, my 5th grade big last project is their papier-mache. Now you do create this at home because it gets extremely messy here at school, and we just don't have enough time blocked off for us to be able to do it here together. So, what I want you guys to know is that we have to think about your project before you start, because I want you to analyze what you want to do and get some ideas, and then after that I want you to make some trips to a couple of stores. But this project should only take $5 or less, because this is mostly recyclable art. Okay? So if you have any questions, don't be afraid to raise your hand even while the video is on, because if you've got a question, we need to hear it. Okay? So I'm gonna come over this way. Bodie is my video today, so thank you, Bodie, for helping me out. These are my papier-mache projects up here that I have kept from kids through the years, and they kind of made my papier-mache Hall of Fame. And I've been really excited to be able to keep all these because they're fun to look at, and I have lots of different kids, every grade level, ask about them. So if you see one that you particularly like, in a few minutes I will tell you what they did to create this form. So the first thing that you have to do is decide what you are going to create. And then you have to make what form, which is the 3D form of it, to do the base for this. So let's just take one for example. All right, do you see the lipstick up here? Okay. Have you ever had those cookies that you make? It's called no-bake cookies, where you use the oats and then they melt butter and they put chocolate in there and they just drop them on a cookie sheet, and then they put them in the refrigerator and they harden their cookies. You don't have to cook them or nothing. Well, oats comes in a big container that's about this size. The bottom of the lipstick is the big container. And then on the top is a small container of oats. Now, all you have to do is empty your oats out, because I wouldn't want to waste your oats in there. Make some cookies or something. And then, now of course boys, you're probably not wanting to use a lipstick, but I'm just going to tell you how to make the lipstick one. So this is my niece Ava's. And what we did is that we took the container that was the biggest, and we emptied it out, and then took the lid, which was a plastic lid, and put it back on top, and we just turned it upside down, okay? Then we took the small one, that was the size, and we actually, once we emptied it out, we cut the top of it on a diagonal. Do you see how that looks up there? Then I put it on top. I think I might have put, I can't remember, it's been a couple of years, but we put hot glue around the edge of it. And then I think I even put some masking tape. Have you guys seen tape like this before? We've used it in here before. So this is just really cheap. You can buy this stuff at Dollar Tree for sure, for less. Probably maybe you get like a package for $1. It doesn't even have to be real strong tape. Like some of them's got different kinds of names, but this is just a cheapo one. And then I've just put that around the edge. So once I did that, then I had to start creating the papier-mache material for that. So most people, especially here in Eastern Kentucky, we all make biscuits, don't we? And biscuits and gravy, that's not like everybody has that on Sundays. So what I have for papier-mache is flour. This is just a really cheap flour. This actually is out-of-date flour. It's from 2015. I just keep it. It doesn't matter if it's old, because we're not eating it. So what you'll need is some flour, and you can buy this at any dollar store. They have it at Food City. They also have it at Walmart, but just go get the cheap kind. It doesn't even need to be this big of a container. I just bought some extra size. And then get you a tuck bucket. Do you know what this is?
Ice cream bowl.
That's right, it's an ice cream bowl. I just had this, and this is recyclable art too, so you could actually use this for a base too. Because if you see the cake right there, do you see it right here? That was made by one of our students. Her name's Hannah, and she used different, Hannah Ratliff, yeah, Hannah. She used different, I think maybe under there's a Cool Whip bowl and a bowl that was butter, and they just cleaned them out. So, and then just stacked them upside down, taped them together, then you're going to cover it with the papier-mache. So there's lots of things that you can do. So what you do, all right, I'm going to turn around this side. You take this, and you just pour some down in your container, okay? And just a random amount. It doesn't like do a huge amount, because you can always pour extra later, okay? Then you're going to go and put some water in it, all right? Then you're just going to stir it up really good. And you want it to be extremely thin, kind of like pancake batter. You know what I'm talking about? Like when you pour the pancake, it really, you know, watery. Thank you, watery. So once it gets really stirred up good, because it will kind of be clumpy. I like to use a whisk if y'all know what a whisk is. Kind of gets the clumps out. All right. So once you get that, then if your family can get newspaper, look, you can buy a newspaper. You don't have to. But sometimes, like if you go like to Giovanni's or someplace, they'll have those little newspaper flyers that people put in there to advertise things. Then you can get that. But if you have none of that, it's not a big deal because you can use notebook paper or you can just use regular copy paper like this, but you do have to have paper, okay? So once you have a form, and let's say I'm going to make a train, okay? So I'm just going to make this box my train since I've got it here handy. And let's say I've taped this to that, and that's kind of like a little bit like a train, isn't it? All right, so I've taped all this together, and this is my form, okay? So what I would do is I would take my paper and just tear it in strips. See how I have that? And then it just depends on what size I want to use. So I may want to go and cover it upward and bend it over like that. Do you see that? Can you see? You guys can't see, well, you can move over here. But what you would do is you would take this down in the bowl. Okay, once it goes in the bowl, it's going to get really messy. So my suggestion is for you to do this someplace that your mom or your granny, whoever you're doing this with, is not going to get mad because it can make a really big mess. So you're going to pull this up and take your fingers, and I like to make them kind of like this, and hold over the bowl and just kind of squeegee it down so it doesn't have a big bunch of clumps on it. And then you're going to bring it over and you're going to lay it down and press it down as flat as you can. Did you see how I did that? And then your next piece that you would do, you would want to kind of do the same thing and then overlap the edges a little bit. See how it's kind of overlapping now? Did you zoom in on that, Bodie, so they can kind of see? All right, so once you overlap the edges, and it all will be extremely wet. If you can see this balloon right here, that balloon is amazing. Whoever did that one, I can't remember, they did it last year. But it's really smooth when they covered that because there's no humpy parts on there, okay? If you look, let me grab this one. Ugh. Okay, now do you see this one here? What is that? It is. It's a brontosaurus, I believe, because it's got that big long tail. All right, if you guys see this one of the kids made this last year, and I really liked it because one thing is at the bottom of it shows me kind of what it looks like beforehand because they didn't paint the bottom. Do you see that? So here's what the paper mache originally looks like before you paint it. And this was completely dry, of course, obviously. But you can see almost kind of where they put all the layers on there. This one was not laid down real good because you can see how it's popping up. So my suggestion for you, although I kind of like it the way it looks because it kind of looks like texture of what a dinosaur would look like, you know. But if you're trying to make it smoother, then I would just try to push those down a little bit more, okay? And they will, it's almost like it's glue that lays down. Now, while I said glue, occasionally you will find paper mache videos or whatever, and they do take this kind of glue and they squirt some of that in. If you have some of that at home, you can squirt it in there because it does make it a little stickier, but it is not necessary, okay? So like this, if you go to the store, it's going to cost you maybe $3, okay? If you already have some at home, use it, but don't use all your granny's or your mom's stuff up. Just use a little bit at a time, their flour up, okay? You don't have to do that either. It's just optional. Now, once you get that completely covered, oh, you have a question, okay. I'll talk about that one in just a second. That was funny. You have a question?
That face thing, who made that?
Well, that is actually a stone carving. So that's not paper mache. Kids do have a lot of questions about that one. That's a stone carving. So that's a sculpture like paper mache is, but it's made out of stone. So anyway, let me get back to this. This is, once this completely dries, and I would think it was going to take you at least 24 hours, okay? But you can speed up the process some. If you leave it in the house, which is a constant temperature, it's probably going to dry slowly. If it's a really hot sunny day, you can put it outside. And if you say you did it at 10 o'clock in the morning, I'd say probably by 6 or 7 o'clock that night it's going to be dry. But you can feel it if it feels damp still. Now I've had parents in the past tell me that they've had to blow dry theirs to get it to dry quicker because they waited to the last minute to do it. But you can, I'm sure that heat on that blow dryer will do it fast. I've never done that, but you can. And also if you do large things and you're trying to do like the other sides, And sometimes you have to do one side of paper mache and then come back and do the other side of paper mache on the next day. Does that make sense? All right, so I'll show you one of those in just a second too. You have a question, Adam?
Yeah. Like, is there like a specific size?
No, there's no specific size. Obviously, if something is small, it's going to take less time to do than something that is large. It's just what you want to do. But I do want everyone to create this because on 5th grade night, we will have them all displayed out front of the lunchroom, and your parents will come in and they'll say, "Oh, Adam, where is yours?" And you'll go, "Over here it is," and you're going to go see them. And then if you don't have yours, then it's kind of like an art show without the show. You see what I mean? So you want everybody to have their projects. So I can't say you have to do it, but you kind of have to do it. Does that make sense? Kaylee?
Like, when do we have to turn it in?
When do you have to turn it in? This year it's going to be on June 1st. It's on Friday. Yes, so we've got all this week, all next week, and the next week, and then that's that Friday. Because the next week is our 5th grade night, June 6th. So we want it to be on June 1st is when we want to turn it in. You'll bring it to my classroom, and I'll go over that a little bit more at the end, okay? So at this point, once this completely dries, and it's all good and dry, you can wait a week and come back and paint it. It just depends on what you want to do. So let me show you what I've got over here in the cabinet. All right, these is what you need to paint it with. Now this is where it's going to actually cost you a little bit of money. 49 cents, 49 cents. $1. All right, so before you go to Walmart, and these actually they do have these at Walmart, and I don't know about the dollar stores. I never was shopped for them there, so I don't think they have these come there. But these are just a little acrylic paints. And you pick the colors that you need. So you should go and you should plan out what you want to do before you go, because there's no sense in buying 10 colors if you're going to just use 2. Because like with the dinosaur, obviously they just used green, didn't they? Okay, and then you see where they did a little bit of stuff for the eyes. You could do that with a Sharpie, okay? If you don't want to get black, because obviously that's just a tiny, small amount of black, isn't it? I just wouldn't buy the black, I just use a Sharpie. And if you can't have a Sharpie home, I'll let you borrow mine here, okay? The baseball that's up there, Tyler Cole did that last year, and somebody in his family made the little stand for it out of the dowel rod and a little block of wood so the baseball would hold up. That is really cool. I love that. But you don't have to do that. You could just, if you do a baseball, then just bring that. His base, his form, is a styrofoam ball. Now I'm sure he bought that at Walmart, and they sell those back there. You know where the bathrooms are in the back of Walmart? Yeah. There's all that craft stuff back there, and there's a whole little wall full of styrofoam things. So that's all you have, that's the place where you would go find that there, okay? I have no idea how much that costs. I would say it'd probably be $2 or less. I'm just guessing though, if you wanted to do something like that. Now, you had a question about the toilet, right? All right, that's my son Karsten's. Now, when he first told me he wanted to do a toilet, I thought that was hilarious, and I thought, I don't know if we can figure that out, but we did. We went to Walmart and looked around, and for that one, in the back of where the fishing supplies are, there, you know those little styrofoam things that you would go and get minnows to put in to go fishing? That's one of those styrofoam buckets. So that was really cheap. I don't know how much that was because it's been a little while. And then the ring from the top of the seat is from the styrofoam section. It's just like you would make a wreath. And then the back parts of it is different blocks of styrofoam that they had, and we just hot glued them together or taped them or something. And then the handle, which is everybody has a question about, that's the Sculpty clay, and this is really cheap because like somebody told me, because I haven't bought this. This is my leftovers, so I've had that a couple of years. But this actually goes a lot longer way than you think it would. And this is clay that you would form, and then you would put it in the oven. I think it's at 250 degrees. I'd have to read on it again. And then you bake it for like so many minutes. It tells you exactly what to do, and it gets hard that way. It's just baking clay, sorry, in the oven. But anyway, and then we just hot glued that on, that handle on there. Okay? So after we got all that, we hot glued the handle on after we paper mached it and painted it. Okay? Don't do it beforehand. Or unless you want it to be paper mached over the handle too. It's just up to you. You can actually make the handle out of what's that called? Cardboard, and then cover it with paper mache, but we just didn't happen to do that. Yes?
One more question.
Okay.
What's up there? What's that wooden?
The wooden thing, that is something that you order out of an art catalog, and that's just a little posable man that you would do different poses for. So you could draw different poses and learn how to draw the body. Who does? Your mom does, yeah. A lot of people who like art, they have one of those.
Did Izzy do that?
Isabella, she did the chocolate chip cookie. She did the chocolate chip cookie. And I don't know what her base is. I should have asked her. I have no idea. And Mr. Rose's daughter did the emoji with the heart eyes right there. And then my daughter did this one, which is huge, obviously. So this took us a while.
That duct tape.
Yeah, part of it is. This is 2 big styrofoam pieces that we bought at Walmart, and we taped them together. And then when we did it actually in here because I worked here to do it with her. We covered the whole front with paper mache, so all of it was covered. And then the next day we came back to school, and by that morning it was dry, so we covered the whole back of it with paper mache. And then we had to plan out what we wanted to do, and this was her iPhone. I think it was her 5S then. I don't know what it was for sure, whatever iPhone she had at that time. But then once we planned out the painting on it, that's when the duct tape was so popular, and she was making all kinds of duct tape things. She wanted to add duct tape around the edges. You can add and embellish your things with anything that you need. Like, what do you think these buttons are?
Lids.
Yeah, from water. So all this stuff is recyclable things, although I went and bought some styrofoam for it. This is a piece of cardboard for the home button or whatever it's called. And you can see how we did that.
Wait, I have a question about the apple picture on the back.
Okay.
Did you draw that?
That's cut out of duct tape.
Wow.
Yeah, we just put pieces of duct tape together, and then you just cut it out. Yeah. She's a really good artist, Lauren is. And then we did all those letters that way, too. So she kind of takes after her mother. So
Okay, Carson.
it's kind of in the family. Yeah, Karsten does really good, too. He's more sports oriented, but he does things when I can sit him down. Oh, the hot air balloon, that's good to mention. That's something really cheap to do because the bottom of it is like a yogurt cup or any kind of little cup that you have. And then the top of it's just a balloon. Because a lot of kids have balloons left over from parties that's not been blown up. And then if you do have a paper mache hot air balloon, what you do is you blow the balloon up and tie it, okay? And then I would have like a cup or something to sit that part on so you could work on it. And then cover all of it with the paper mache. Sometimes with balloons where you're going to end up popping the balloon out the inside, I do 2 or 3 layers of the paper mache on it. Even while it's wet, you can do that. And then once it completely dries, if the balloon is still pretty inflated in there, then I would paint it while the balloon is still inflated inside, just so it doesn't compress on you because it will push down when you take the balloon out. And then what you want to do, you know, like a stick pin or a safety pin. When everything's done, take that safety pin and pull down that part where at the bottom where you tie it, and just insert that safety pin very slowly because you want the air to decompress out of it very slowly, so it doesn't, like, you know, pop the balloon, the paper mache part of it. Okay, but you do want to take the balloon part out. And then this one here used pipe cleaners for the strings that come down. And if you look at the one over here, this one which I don't have studied up all the way, has dowel rods with that one, little skinny dowel rods, and this one has pieces of string. Do you see that? All right. So once you get that part done, so let's go back and review what we have. We have decide on your form, okay? Do as much recyclable art as you can. I don't want you to go to Walmart and buy all the styrofoam, unless it's just what you want to do. So you make that decision. You can get cardboard boxes from cereal, can't you? From gummy boxes, those gummy savers, what are those things? Lifesavers, those little boxes and stuff that you get, those little packages you bring in your lunch boxes. You can use pop bottles, turn them upside down. We had one boy one year make a catfish. He was Dalton Marshall. He was amazing. The catfish was about, his was awesome. Catfish was about this big. And I wished I'd made Dalton let me keep it because it was so amazing. But it looked like a real catfish. And I think he formed it mostly out of paper. And then at the end of it, where it has the whiskers, and I don't know for sure, but I think I remember it pretty vividly. You know, like the ends of the broom? Like he would cut some of those pieces off the end of the broom and then hot glue those for the whiskers of the hot. It was so good. We've had really cool things over the years. We've had, you know how big this table is? One boy who moved here from Florida, he did the size of a shark, because I guess it was the whole shark. It was that big, that size. And he had the rows of teeth and everything in it. So you can be as creative as you want to. And I've had toe shoes done before too, Paisley. Like the girl did them last year, and then I forget who did them last year, but Emily West, if you know Emily, she did toe shoes, or was it Emily? Emily? It might have been Madison Smith, but any one of those girls that was into dance a lot, they did toe shoes, and they were phenomenal. Last year's were really wonderful, but theirs was amazing. I don't know if they used a toe shoe under it. I don't think they did, but they had to form it. So pick things that are cheap. Pick things that's at home to do your form. And once you do that, gather your supplies. Don't go shopping at Walmart for paint until you know exactly what you need. So get your flour, get your bowl, get some water. Most everybody has water, don't they? And then get your paint colors that you need. So only buy what paint colors you need. Now, of course, you're going to have a brush too. So if you don't have brushes sitting around the house, they have cheap little brushes you can buy there. Don't buy a huge amount of pack. Just get you something cheap. And I've always got brushes here if you need to borrow one or something, as long as you bring it back to me. Okay? Now, remember, do the paper mache one day, paint it the next, or paint it a week later. So plan it out. And the total amount of time in this is probably less than 2 hours. Okay? So it's not like a really big long project, it's just a short project. Okay? But it does take at least 2 days to do it. So plan it, I like to work on Sundays when everything's kind of slow. So Sunday's a good day, like do it maybe at 3 o'clock on Sunday, and then the next Sunday you come back and paint it. Okay? Because I know a lot of you are busy with dance and baseball and soccer and all those different things that you all do. So maybe you're just busy with Fortnite, aren't you? So, yeah, I know y'all. All right. So, does anybody, and all right, the last thing I want to tell you before we get finished. So on June 1st, when you guys bring this to school, I want you to meet me here in the room or over in the library, and I'm going to get index cards, and we're going to fold them in half like this, okay? And then you have to title your artwork. So while you're at home, be thinking of what you want it to be titled. Like Karsten's toilet is called the Royal Throne. He could have called it the toilet, couldn't he? But you want to title it. Sometimes you can use really cool things. Like if you did a basketball, you can title it basketball, or you could title it like baller, or whatever you want to give it a name. The greatest game on earth. You choose. All right. So it's something kind of cool. Like I don't have Lauren's card. I used to have her card. Isabella, she just called it chocolate chip cookie. You could do something simple. And then, do you see the bat signal right there? I don't know if you can see that one or not. That was Miss Davis's little boy Brett. He did the bat signal. So that's kind of cool.
That was a little bit more like a batarang.
Well, it kind of does, yeah. Yeah. The caterpillar that's up there, that's a bunch of styrofoam balls that they bought at Walmart probably, and then they put them together. But it's also not just painted, it's paper mache over it too. The snowman's really good. I'm pretty sure that's Wesley Mosina's. And I really like that one. And do you see the little box TV? That's like the old Tommy TVs. That was Josie's or Gracie Simpson. I can't remember which one that was. But anyway, that's Miss Stacy that's in the office for the little girl. All right, so come by on June 1st. Bring your project. You have to do the card, okay? You're going to write your first and last name as neatly as you can with a Sharpie. Then you will write the title of your art. This card needs to be placed beside your art in the library, okay? And then on the day of June 6th, which is our 5th grade night, we will go in the library and carry them out to the tables that I have covered out with black paper, so it looks more like an art show out there. And then you will get to take yours home that night after 5th grade dance, or you could take it home on the last day of school, but it does go home with you, okay? All right, so everybody gets to keep it. Anybody else have any question? Yes, or unless I keep it. Yeah, sometimes I don't let them go leave because like, oh my gosh, it's amazing. Because sometimes kids take them home and then eventually, like 5 years later, like I'm throwing that thing away. And that's what happened to that cat. See the cat, black cat up there? The kid who had that one, she was probably, I don't know, freshman or sophomore, and she said, Miss Poe, she saw me out in Walmart. She said, Miss Poe, would you like to have my paper mache cat? I said, you know it, bring it to me, girlfriend. So that's how I got it. Okay, so anyway, all right, guys. So if you need to remember how to do paper mache, check this video out, and I'm also giving you a paper to take home. All right, guys, see ya.